Yes, please.
I'm Paul Brown, I'm a professor of international relations and local science at the University of Toronto, and I'm also the head of rights and democracy in Montreal. And in your group speech, you just had a kind of glancing mention of President Medvedev. You just characterized him as Mr. Putin's little friend. And perhaps that's
Mr. Putin's small friend. Mr. Putin, very small friend.
Perhaps that says it all, because that is a powerful description. But as you know, in the West, there was often a very different perception of the day, quite encouraged by President Obama talking about my friend, Dimitri, about reaching all these deals. But obviously, this was not the reality. Nonetheless, Mr. Medvedev is supposed to become Prime Minister, the switch after the elections in March. So I wonder if you could say a little bit more about very small, very small friend.
Well, we had some hope concerning Medvedev, I mean Russian opposition, like the West, like Obama and others. That's true. But finally, I recognize that he is not the president, he is blogger. He is blogger. I am more famous blogger than Medvedev, but he's blogger. And his nickname now in Russia is iPhoneчик. Because Steve Jobs presented him iPhone, maybe you remember this very funny story in California, it's happened. Well, and immediately our Russian great guys decided to name him iPhoneчик. Why he's iPhoneчик? Because it doesn't matter what he's talking about, it doesn't matter what is his statements and what is his promises. For example, he said a few years ago that freedom is better than non-freedom. Everybody was excited about that. What's happened next? I was in jail. Next decision was, Nemtsov is in jail. Well, that's why it doesn't matter what he's talking about. This is a sad story, first of all, for him. Because for every man in the world to be so ineffective, to be so useless, to be so, unmanaged man, this is a serious problem. And his final decision on September 24, which I mentioned, to give power back to Putin, it will be the beginning of protests in Russia, and this is the end of Medvedev. This man even doesn't exist on TV now. It seems to me that he's in the blacklist, maybe, I don't know. But he doesn't exist. That's why Putin was not so stupid when he made a choice concerning successor. He made decision, don't thinking about Russian interests, but thinking about how this gentleman must be weak, must be loyal, and must be, outside of the game. And KGB background played a great role. He made, for his point of view, absolutely right choice. This gentleman, he is not the president, he was not the president, and he will never be the president. Never. This is a sad story. Of course, if he will be a strong guy, we will have a chance. But it didn't happen. And Obama, well, Obama had problems, not only inside, but for example in Iran. He had a problem with transit to Afghanistan, a problem with the anti-ballistic missile treaty, some others. And of course, they proclaim an idea of reset, which is over, like you understand. Well, but some decision was made. For example, decision concerning transit to Afghanistan, which was very important, and Medvedev played a role. Medvedev played a role as far as Libya resolution is concerned. You asked me about Assad, but remember that Russia supported UN resolution concerning Gaddafi, and it was a decision of Medvedev, and it was huge conflict between Putin and Medvedev. Well, but now this is Russian story. I think that Medvedev is the most weak leader of my country. We have Tsar Pavel many, many years ago, but it was in the past, 200 years ago. 200 years ago. After Pavel, Medvedev is the next. Sad story.
I heard you yesterday on CBC's As It Happens saying that it's possible Putin will not win in the first round, and in fact he would use that to his advantage and run on the second round and win, and thereby proclaim to the world that he has followed a very democratic process and in fact has been elected. If that happens, then do you feel that the freedom movement can still continue to bring out Russian people to continue to demonstrate? And if so, for how long? And if not, then what? And if you have time for a second question, how, both in Ukraine and in Russia, we have a problem of leadership in the democratic situation. Yours is different. You have such a wide range of members in your coalition. We have a problem of a leader that the population would consider, could support, because all the existing leaders are from the former and ruling groups, and the population considers them part of the inadequate, corrupt system. Could you comment on your situation and possibly the Ukrainian one?
Okay. First about 1 round or 2 rounds, right? Well, Putin said not long ago that if it will be 2 rounds, it means instability. He believes that 2 rounds in the world means instability. This is his understanding about democracy, about honest election, etc. That's why my idea is that, nevertheless, what's happened in reality and what kind of election will be, how many support he will get, he proclaimed his victory in the first round. It means that it will be dishonest, it will be false, it will be fraud. It means that protest will increase. But let's imagine that you are right and it will be 2 rounds. If Putin will be Spinoza, he will support an idea of 2 rounds. Because 2 rounds means look like more honest, looks my real competition, like real elections, not special operation. Well, in this case, I agree that protest will be not so huge, and it takes a lot of time to explain people that Putinism means the end of Russia, Putinism means corruption, stagnation, degradation, aggressive domestic and foreign policy, repression. It takes a lot of time to explain Russian people what does it mean. But I'm sure that honeymoon between Putin and Russian people are in the past, and the end of Putin will be like for every dictators in the world. Look at Assad, look at Gaddafi, look at Mubarak, to everybody. Ben Ali. The end is sad every time. Nevertheless, what country you are talking about? Well, that's why what is important to recognize that it takes a time. It's impossible to solve all of our questions, including democratization, in 1, 2 months, 3 months. It takes a lot of time. Here we are talking about peaceful process, you know? And second question about leadership. A lot of guys ask me a question, why don't you have a united leader in Russia? And Putin always said, to whom I'm talking with? Who are your leaders? Nemtsov, Ryzhkov, Navalny, Chirikova, maybe Yavlinsky, somebody else? To whom I want to talk? I want to tell you, our peaceful protest, our peaceful revolution is a revolution of middle class, which is unique for Russia. This is not revolution of proletariat. This is middle class. People who have cars, who have apartments, who spend their vacation sometimes in Turkey, sometimes in Egypt, sometimes in Greece, in Spain, etc. This is middle class revolution. It explains why protesters mainly concentrated in Moscow, because city of Moscow is the city of middle class. If you visited Moscow, you recognize 3.5 million of cars every day, disaster, traffic, a lot of construction, level of life is, incomes are about maybe 1,000, average salary is about $1,500 per month, which is much higher than in Eastern Europe and in Baltic states and Ukraine, etc. First, this is a revolution of middle class, and middle class don't like vozhd, don't like one leader. It's the first point. Second, this is a revolution of internet. A lot of people came to the streets because of Facebook. This is social network people who don't like such kind of one leader. But our answer is that when it will be honest election in our country, we choose our leader. Not we, but you choose. Go to the polls and vote, and it will be very easy. Parliament election will select the most popular parties and non-popular parties, and presidential race will give a chance to elect a leader. That's it. I don't think that this is a strategy. This is a moment of transformation from Putinism to democracy. That's why many leaders are not so bad. Come back to Ukraine. What we have, Yulia is in jail. She is the most popular opposition leader. Yatsenyuk, my understanding, he is good. I don't know what is your opinion, Miroslav, but I know him very well for many years. He was a minister in Foreign Office. He was a chairman of the parliament. Well, he is one of the leaders of the opposition. Of course, he is not so strong like Yulia, I agree, but he has his own understanding and strategy for Ukraine, which is good: European integration, democratization, market economy. Well, he failed in the elections because he looked like Gary Potter. His campaign was like, I am Gary Potter for Ukraine, I don't think, maybe for Canada Gary Potter is good, but for Ukraine is not. If he will be Ivanushka Durachok, it looks better, right? But Gary Potter, it's something special. Well, anyway, he failed, but I think that he's a smart man. He will be successful, I believe, in the future. Another guy who is Ukrainian nationalist, Tyagnybok, Oleg, maybe you know him? Oleg Tyagnybok. He's popular in the western part of Ukraine. Well, I think that he's populist, too much. I don't think that that's what Ukraine needs, because Yulia, she is populist. And a lot of populists are not what Ukraine needs, from my point of view. Well, who else? Tygibka, he is in the team of Yanukovych. He's deputy prime minister. It's difficult to say what about his independent future. I don't think that he has such kind of opportunity, but maybe he will change his mind in the future. I don't know. But I want to tell you that leadership in Ukraine don't so important than for Russia. Because Ukrainians, not middle class of Ukraine, not internet people from Ukraine, but Ukrainians like a nation, don't like leaders. Because they always got leaders from Moscow or maybe from Brussels, I don't know from what towns, but they don't like leaders. That's why I don't think that this is a real problem for your country. I don't think so. I think that you need some non-populist, honest, and patriotic guy. I agree with that. Unfortunately, the most populist guy, were or corrupted or very populist, which is not good for the country. Thank you very much.
Mr. Nemtsov, on behalf of the Economic Club of Canada and everyone here today, I just want to thank you so much.